Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cheap Seats.
The Cheap Seats.
Joining us today, you have your host, Tyler.
And Tim.
We also have our recurring guest and most of the time producer, Ben the Stud Dudley.
What's up?
Otherwise known as the Redhead.
Joining us from the West Coast this evening, we have the Hector Liu from Anaheim, California.
Hector, say what's up.
What's up, guys? I'm just here to provide diversity into today's episode.
And then, last but not least, we have our producer, Andrew Adams.
I don't know what I'm doing. You're just here for audio.
So, welcome everyone to the Cheap Seats. We're coming to you from Orlando, Florida today, August 27th, 2020. Please make sure to go follow our social media pages on YouTube at Hush Hush Productions, Twitter and Instagram at CheapSeats_pod, and on Facebook at Cheap Seats Pod. And before we get started today, I think everybody can agree that we need to take a moment to talk about the Jacob Blake situation that's going on and all the protests going on in sports, and let all of the people that are wanting to be heard, let them know that they're definitely heard from us and that there does need to be change in this country, and what's happening is not right.
You're not just heard, you're fully supported.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's
bigger than a game.
It's a whole lot bigger than a game. There's a lot of people out there that are saying, oh, the NBA is a disgrace, and now all the other leagues are jumping in. That's a game. Like, get over yourself.
Yeah.
There's people's lives out there that are being lost for nothing.
Both of those situations were completely avoidable and just appalling.
Yeah. And I mean, people will have their arguments for everything, but like, this is human life. People, open your eyes. Be a decent human being for 5 seconds. And like, all across the country, just be a human being. See eye to eye with somebody.
Yeah, and I definitely think that the change is occurring in the younger generations, and we just need to, with the old regimen that's still in government and the old way of thinking. I mean, the civil rights movement was only a little over 50 years ago. Like, we still have a lot of change that needs to happen. A lot of change has happened, but clearly not enough for what needs to be in the society today. So hopefully the sports and all the other people out there speaking out about it, we can definitely, there can be some real change in the community for the people that need it.
Yeah. The last time that the NBA did a boycott like this was 50 years ago with Bill Russell.
Yeah.
50 years ago.
And we still have the same thing.
Why is this going on? Like, we are all human. We're all in this together. Treat each other right. We are all equal. We're all in this together.
And
history is being written right now, actually, as we speak.
Exactly.
Yep, absolutely.
We're all part of this.
So we just had to make sure that we got that off our chest. That's one of the reasons we recorded a little bit earlier this week, and then we just didn't it felt like the sports world was kind of headed in that direction to start with. And then after last night, obviously there's not a ton of sports news this week besides that, but we had been planning on for a while doing a fantasy football podcast. So we're here tonight to go ahead and give our fantasy predictions and what we feel going into the season. And that's why we made sure that Ben could be included. Ben's one of me, Ben, and Tim, and Hector, we all play in a couple leagues together. And so we wanted to make sure that Ben and Hector were included because they're both fantasy experts. So to start off, we're going to get
into our fun selves now. We're going to get back into our podcast, but we had to get that out there.
But to lead it off, I guess I'll kick it over to Tim, and he can start the show with what he'd like for fantasy football.
So I guess the way that I'll start is, because this is an odd year of fantasy football and sports in general with the coronavirus and everything going on, I was just going to give a little rundown on kind of how we're running our big league this year. So we're going to count 10 games as a full season. If the games make it 10 games, then whoever has the highest amount of points will be declared the winner of the league. If the season doesn't make it 10 games, then everybody gets their quote-unquote non-money involved because it's not legal everywhere. So you're gonna get your candy back if you don't make it 10 games. Is there anything else that you guys remember that I said for the league?
We're also going to do an additional bench spot and an additional
Right.
IR spot
Yeah.
for COVID illnesses throughout the season.
Just in case, you never know what happens.
It has been looking good through training camp so far. They did have last week the positive test. They got retested at different facilities, and they came back negative, so they had a bunch of false positives.
I believe they've had 0, right?
I think so.
I don't remember of any.
I think they're still at 0. But the first thing we're going to do, we're going to go over the top 10 on the big board. So, of course, year after, I think this is probably the third year he's been number 1 on the big board, but runs CMC out there in Carolina, Christian McCaffrey, especially having Joe Brady now as his offensive coordinator. I think, especially in PPR leagues, which every league I play in is at least a half-point PPR league.
Right.
And, I mean, that's an easy lock of 20 points a game.
Yeah. I know last year.
And that's when he has a bad day.
Yeah. Saquon, everybody was like between CMC or Saquon. I've always been a CMC person. And I mean, that's who I took with my pick last year. And he's like a guarantee.
Yep. That's what I'm pulling my big board from Roto Street Journal. Number 2, they have literally Christian McCaffrey is in a tier by himself. He's in tier 1.
Yeah, for sure.
And then tier 2, they have Saquon and Zeke, which it's going to be interesting. Like they even have it noted here, like Mike McCarthy, the pass happy Mike McCarthy. So it's going to be, it could be good for Zeke. It could be bad for Zeke.
Zeke can catch.
Yeah. He doesn't catch like McCaffrey or
No,
but he definitely can catch. It's this whole top 10 is running backs basically, which used to like, or at least when I first started playing fantasy, everybody like went after quarterbacks and wide receivers early, and then it was just oh yeah,
Andrew's saying kickers.
Andrew, no, not kickers. For I think 5 years straight in our fantasy league, Andrew drafted Drew Brees first round every year, just because it was the only player he knew in the NFL.
I got his jersey, so I have to.
I swear, the league that I played with you guys and Andrew was actually in, I think he might have had 4 kickers on his team.
He probably did.
And you know what?
Hey, for their brand, man.
Grind.
What was that?
He said you
said
got to
you
respect the grind.
Thank you. You know, you have to do something.
But we'll just go through the top 10 and then we'll like open it up to discussion between everybody else. But the rest of the top 10 is Saquon at number 2, Zeke at number 3, Clyde Edwards-Helaire at number 4 for Kansas City, Derrick Henry at number 5, Dalvin Cook at 6, Alvin Kamara at number 7, Joe Mixon at number 8, Austin Eckler at number 9, and Mike T. Can't guard Mike at number 10.
Slant King.
So
even though he's not just a slant receiver. That's the biggest bullshit ever.
yeah, it's so annoying to hear. But hey,
I think you could find 100 catches last year that weren't a slant.
yeah.
Probably.
So
I'm just saying that because I'm a Falcons fan.
I know.
for all 3 of
I'm
you,
sorry.
do you guys think that
too.
Austin Eckler can repeat what he did last year?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hector?
Especially with Melvin Gordon out of the team now, I think the backfield's wide open for him.
I think Eckler has more skill than the Melvin Gordon.
I think Melvin Gordon is a better runner, but Eckler's definitely a better pass catcher. He's a good enough for second down back, and then he's a great third down back.
Yeah.
He
So,
can
Do you-
actually pass protect as well. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
Do you guys think that he's going to be as big as he was last year, or do you think he's going to regress a little bit?
The only thing I think that'll make him regress is the fact that he doesn't have Phillips Rivers.
Yeah.
Phillips Rivers.
I mean, he's got Tyrod Taylor.
He's got
so
Cry Me a
he's-
River.
He still has.
Yeah, he has a good quarterback.
veteran,
Like Tyrod, I think I like Tyrod a lot.
He's just got to be in the right system. Like when he went to Cleveland, it wasn't the right fit. And
Nobody ever
they
fits
were
into
already.
Cleveland.
That's true.
Let's just
And they were
remember
already
with
diving
Eckler.
into Baker.
Let's just remember with Eckler, he had 557 yards rushing last year. He had 993 receiving,
Right.
with 92 catches,
And that's
so
huge for PPR.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he's definitely a PPR back.
Right.
He's
Absolutely.
definitely not a non PPR league back.
A
Though.
standard league.
Yeah.
The only thing for me personally is I feel like I would personally be a little wary if he was my running back 1, especially because obviously there is the chance that he's had a fluky year last year. Like if you look at the previous years prior to that, when we had Melvin Gordon on the Chargers, maybe there was some injuries with him. We also had issues where he was splitting time with
Right.
Melvin Gordon. You're going to have a little bit of risk if you're banking it all on Eckler as your running back 1. But I mean, I feel like if he was my running back 2 some way somehow, I'd be pretty comfortable with it.
Oh,
yeah,
100%.
absolutely. I just like there's not very many running back ones in fantasy. I
mean,
think there's a handful.
6, 7.
If
you're
that,
looking at-
like, I mean,
looking
obviously
at
the top
CMC.
10, like they've got 9 on here, but like we're saying Eckler at number 9's a RB2, where you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire at number 4, and like, yeah, I'm fine with like him blowing up training camp, and like he played good at LSU, but he is an undersized back. Like,
he was incredible at LSU.
Yeah.
He's going to be like a Maurice Jones-Drew. He's going to be very similar to that. Very
Versatile.
thick trunk. Got just his thighs are as big as my waist. Like
Now,
the dude's huge.
nobody's going to
no.
be like Saquon.
Did you see who's what's his name? He's the running back for the Green Bay Packers this year.
Aaron Jones?
No,
Aaron Jones?
no, the
Brett
rookie.
Favre.
He's bigger than Saquon.
You
What?
might be looking at the wrong trunk there.
Okay, well, while you're looking that up, do you think Aaron Jones has a year like he had last year?
I could see it.
I could see it as repeatable.
Yeah.
Maybe
I think
not.
I think
Okay.
he's gonna regress. Like
LaFleur likes
I
to run
think-
the ball.
I think he could definitely repeat the yardage. The touchdowns might be a little more fluky. I don't necessarily see them repeating
like-
the touchdowns, but I can see the yards and catches still being there.
Aaron Jones was the number 3 running back last year.
Yeah, they just don't have many offensive weapons. They've got Aaron Jones, they've got Aaron Rodgers,
Devontae.
and Devontae.
So
That's pretty much it.
they have a rookie running back named AJ Dillon who is 6 foot, 247 pounds.
Oh,
Thick
that's a
boy.
fullback.
That's a thick boy.
That is a thick boy.
That's a 20-pound trunk.
I think that's more than a 20-pound trunk. He's got 20-pound kneecaps.
Let me see what it looks like.
We're showing
Oh
a
my
picture right
goodness!
now.
Yeah,
oh my god.
his legs might be bigger than Saquon.
Does he even have a trunk? I can see it.
That dude's got tree trunks for legs. But looking down the list, like, first of all, Christian McCaffrey, I think he's a RB1 and he's also a wide receiver 2. Like, I would put him in that category. Same with like Lamar, how he's a QB1 and a QB2.
That's
Or
Bigfoot.
not a QB2, an
running back.
RB1. Yeah.
So
So
put him as an RB1.
last year, if you looked at his stats, he technically qualified as an RB1 because he had that many fantasy points just off of rushing.
Yeah.
So, like, the dude's good, and he's great for fantasy. And I'm looking at ESPN's big board. They've got Michael Thomas at 8, then Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs after that. I think Josh Jacobs is going to have a really good year. It seems like
think so,
there's at least a little bit of the turmoil in the Raiders organization is gone. So hopefully that helps them on the field.
Yeah, and I
Well,
think
you even think too, with last year being such a tumultuous year for the Raiders, he still put up a lot of numbers.
Right. And he was hurt for a while.
I think a sleeper, Damian Harris out at New England. He's supposedly been tearing it up during training
See,
camp.
I was gonna ask.
And during PPR leagues, I feel like New England backs. I mean, obviously they don't have Tom Brady this year, but still, they love to throw the ball to the running back.
I was gonna ask you guys. I was gonna wait till later, but I guess we can hit it now. Do you guys touch a New England running back?
Absolutely. I mean,
Yes.
even if they don't have Tom Brady, they have Josh
have-
McDaniels.
they
They have
have-
one of the best offensive coordinators in the game.
They've got like 5 running backs, and it's all by committee.
I know, but
See,
still, like,
For me personally, I've learned years ago, just for me personally,
Right.
to just stay away from that backfield. It's just so
See,
volatile.
I agree.
You never know.
I feel the
You
same
never
way.
know from
I feel
game to
like
game
I feel like
who
it's
you're going
not
against.
somebody that you go after in a draft, but if you wait 2 weeks, one of them always gets the majority of the touches.
Right. Like James White out of the backfield last year catching passes late in the year. He started tearing it up once we got later into the year, right around playoff time for fantasy. He was killing it, and I loved having him on my bench because I was able to throw him into the lineup when a couple of my guys got hurt.
I
I
see.
think the problem
That's,
is for me is all the running backs on there are it's just so streaky. You know, you're not going to be able to count on them week in to week out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're a
I
great
don't like
backfield to cover up injuries with.
yeah, that's about the only way that I would go after them, is just because, I mean, you'd have to hope that somebody's there. My pick out of that backfield would be Sony Michel, and that's because
He doesn't catch any passes though, so
he's
PPR league.
he's getting the touches in.
Yeah.
Uh,
What do y'all think about Melvin Gordon? now in
out
Denver.
at the Broncos with Drew Lock, like only in his second year. I don't know. I think he'll get plenty. Like he'll be a modest RB3.
RB3?
I mean,
Yeah.
Like a flex, maybe.
I mean, we know the recipe for success for Denver this year is going to be through the run game and the defense, right? So if they're going to make a playoff push, which some experts are thinking they can make a decent wild card team, you can see him put up numbers as long as he stays healthy, which is the big thing for Melvin Gordon.
Right.
He does have an injury history.
But the Redskins, what was the running back they have?
Sorry, sir, it's the Washington football team.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you, Hector.
Hector, I appreciate that. The Washington football team, now that Darius Geis is no longer on the team, they do have Bryce Love, who was a stud in college and then tore his ACL in training camp last year and missed the year. He's been tearing it up. So I think he's going to end up by the end of the year an RB2. Like, I obviously wouldn't draft him as an RB2 to start the year, but I think he wouldn't be a bad flex start the first week of the season.
He could be a deep sleeper hold, too, for some teams.
I agree.
I think him
Hold
and
on to
J.K.
him
Dobbins,
as trade bait.
especially because J.K. Dobbins is making moves right now in training
Right.
camp. I think he's going to be somebody that could possibly win somebody some leagues, especially if Mark Ingram gets hurt. J.K. Dobbins is going to pop off.
Yeah.
So I'm looking down the list, and number 54 on the ESPN big board is Mark Ingram. Do y'all think that he's
I think he's right where he
undervalued at
should
that
be.
point? Like, would you draft him earlier than that?
54, so that's looking at what, a fourth round pick?
Late fourth?
Late fourth, early
Late fourth, early fifth.
Nah, I probably wouldn't draft him earlier than that.
No, that's the absolute earliest I'd probably take him.
On, like,
There's so
I
many
mean,
better
he'll
running
obviously
backs.
have some weekends this year that, like, he's going to be a top 10 back because that's just how Mark Ingram is. Like, every once in a while, he scores 3 touchdowns in one game, but he's not going to be your consistent day in, day out, get 100 yards, get 20 touches a game.
You're also going to get a lot of times where they get down to the 2-yard line and just Lamar dive it in.
Yeah, or Lamar holds on a read option.
That makes me
Exactly.
remember. Okay, so also going back to the Patriots, you now have the best red zone quarterback, rushing quarterback in the league in
signed
Cam
Peyton
Newton.
Manning.
He's going to take some of those rushes away from that backfield as well.
Okay, then I'm getting Cam as my
I-
backup quarterback.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine, but that's what I was
I
kind of
don't
like going
think
with.
I don't think you're going to see Cam run as much as you did early in his career.
I still think he runs a
don't-
lot.
I think he
he's going to
maybe
be
starting
reckless
I
down
think
the goal
he'll
line.
maybe run 3 to 5 times a game.
Hector, what'd you say?
I don't think we're going to see the reckless goal line Cam that we saw back in like 2015.
Yeah,
know, which I
because
get.
that's what happened to Cam. Is like Cam never got treated as a quarterback. He always got treated as like a wide receiver, tight end. Like he would get hit so maliciously and like never get anything called. So I don't think he's gonna let them beat his body up like that again. I think he's only gonna run when he absolutely have to. I don't think we're gonna see a lot of design runs.
You know, Belichick might draw up those plays every once in a while, but it's not going to be consistent as before.
Yeah.
Right.
We can move over to the top 10 quarterbacks on the big board. We got, of course, Lamar Jackson, number 1. I guess you kind of got a 1A, 1B here because you got Patty Mahomes right behind him. Lamar will get you the points with his wheels. Patty will throw 17 touchdowns a game. And then in tier 2, we have Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, and Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is somebody that has my heart right now. He's somebody I want to draft on all my teams, and I'm going to try to draft on all my teams. Last year, I was lucky enough to get Lamar Jackson on all 4 of my fantasy teams, and that paid off.
Kyler said that he thinks that he can be the next Lamar Jackson. Not only did he say that, he thinks that all 3 of his receivers can be 1,000-yard receivers.
I'd agree.
I would not be surprised.
He's
with that.
literally Lamar Jackson with a stronger, better arm.
Yeah, now that he's got D-Hop over there, he's going to have a big year.
Yeah.
I think Fitzgerald's going to be a bigger target this year, too, because he doesn't have to be...
I still think Fitz will finish 3rd on the team in receiving.
Yep.
It'll be Christian Kirk and Hopkins that have the top 2.
Yeah, Hopkins is that deep threat. Larry Fitzgerald is not a deep threat anymore. He is just a physical receiver.
No, but he is
he's
a
had to settle into
guarantee
that
to
role.
catch.
Yes, he is. But at the same time, he's going to be your check down guy. So, yeah, he's going to get 8-10 yards here and there. D-Hop is going to be the one that gets you those big explosive plays, and then Christian Kirk is going to be that second option where if the long ball isn't there, then
He's
the
gonna be the guy.
25-yard ball
Right.
Yeah.
to Christian Kirk is right there because he's streaking
Also,
across the field.
Kenyon Drake is going to be just
Yeah,
right down
out the
his
back.
lines.
Out the back. That's all, folks.
That offense can be.
But what really shocks me on this top 10, I'll go through the rest of the top 10 first. Deshaun Watson at number 6, Carson Wentz at number 7, Drew Brees at number 8, Josh Allen at number 9, Tom Brady at number 10. So we've got Matt Ryan outside the top 10. We've got Aaron Rodgers on their list is all the way down to number 18.
Matt Ryan's 7 on ESPN.
And
Aaron Rodgers has fallen off of like fantasy points the past few years. He's an NFL quarterback, not a fantasy quarterback.
Right.
but what shocks me is Carson Wentz at number 7.
You know, I actually was going to ask you all this. I want your opinions on, do you guys all think his 2017 year was a fluke? Just your personal opinions.
Yes. Oh, I don't know if it was a fluke. I just think he's not durable enough for an NFL team.
Yeah,
Like, I think
did-
he has the talent.
If he didn't have the injury problems, he would be an elite quarterback in the NFL. Top 4, top 5. If he didn't
Because
have
you
the
see
injury.
Yeah, but it's like his body's
he's
made of
healthy,
glass.
Because
It's
the thing is,
like,
the last few years,
Jeez, every time you
him and
speak,
your-
Hector is trying to speak.
Will you let
Can
Hector
you
talk?
Let him talk, sir.
Go ahead, Hector.
Hector's used to it.
what I was going to
And
say
then
is
he-
the last few years,
Andrew, you don't even go here.
Hey, he's my friend. Y'all leave me alone.
I apologize. I keep trying to jump in. But the reason I asked
That's why you're here.
It's your question.
The last few years, whenever Carson Wentz is being drafted, everyone's kind of hoping, hey, he repeats that 2017 magic, right? And I think it's almost getting to the point where you can just kind of accept it's never going to happen again.
Yeah, they wouldn't have won that Super Bowl without Big Dick Nick.
I can 100% agree with you, Hector. I don't think Carson Wentz. I'm not taking him as a quarterback that I'm targeting at all, just because you can't trust him staying healthy.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm excited about Josh Allen because
Ooh.
he's got Stephon Diggs, and like it says right here, he's led the league in quarterback rushing touchdowns back-to-back years.
Yeah.
So like people sleep on Josh Allen. Like he's reckless with the interception ball. If you play in a league that they alter the points to where interceptions just like
They matter.
eat you, then okay, maybe stay away from him. But Josh Allen's got some talent. He can also throw the ball 8,000 yards.
Yeah, and Stephon Diggs is definitely going to help that. What do y'all think about the 3 rookies this year? You've got Joe Burrow, you've got Tua, and
They're
whatever
saying-
that bus name is out in L.A.
Aber.
Huh?
Herbert.
Herbert,
Herbert?
yeah.
Yeah,
That
the bust.
He's going to be a Mitch Trubisky 2.0.
What do you think about Tua barely fighting for the number 3 on the depth chart?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I think he's definitely going to be able to learn.
People forget how good Tua was.
Right.
Like he,
Because of the injuries, people forget.
yeah, like he literally, like Joe Burrow's senior season he had last year. Tua did that for 3 years
Yeah.
before he got hurt.
Not to that extent, though. No one had a season like Joe Burrow. Ever.
It was very
Historical.
close,
Yeah.
very close. Tua also never finished the full year because his
That's true.
freshman year he only played
The
in
championship,
the championship,
and
then he got hurt
killed
the following
Georgia.
2 years. But like if he would have, in the amount of games he played, his stats were almost identical to Joe Burrow.
Yeah, but his Wonderlic definitely doesn't help his case either. He had like a 17 or something when
Yeah, but a lot of teams
Just
don't even put that much stock into that anymore.
they don't. But I think
It's
that
okay,
might play something.
But he's
into
at the
him being
Dolphins,
number
so
3.
he's getting the Harvard education from Ryan Fitzmagic.
There you go.
Did he go to
I
Harvard?
guess the
Is
big
that right?
Yes, he
question
did.
would be, do any of these 3 rookies possibly have a chance to even creep into the high QB2, low QB1 conversation?
Joe Burrow.
Burrow
No,
does.
I don't think so.
Joe Burrow.
I think Joe Burrow is going to be a great leader. He's going to be great in Cincinnati. Not this year.
I think the only thing that holds Joe Burrow back in Cincinnati is the Bengals.
That
Like-
offensive line, man.
The offensive line is the worst thing. He has weapons. He's got plenty
Hey,
of weapons.
He's
To
got
be fair,
plenty
that
of weapons.
boy,
I know it's college and not NFL, but man, he spun out of and ran away from and completed some passes scrambling on around.
It was 1 year. He's got to prove that he can do it in the NFL. Like I said, I think he's going to be great in the locker room, and I think he's going to be a great leader.
It's okay. We all disagree with you, Tim. He's going to be great.
I don't think he's going to do it this year.
Okay.
Hector, what do you...
When we do the fantasy season in review in December and you're wrong, we'll all talk about it.
We'll see about that.
Strong words from a flabby boy.
We will see. You guys just wait.
Tim, I think
I'm sorry,
I agree
that was
with
too
you.
far.
See?
I think
Thank
down
you.
Down the road, I think Joe Burrow will be in Cincinnati for a while. I just don't know.
Well, your question.
No, he's going to be there for 4 years.
Hector,
He's going to choose not to extend his
Hector,
contract. He's going to go
you said-
somewhere else.
Hector, you said QB2, right? Low end QB1?
He said,
No, I said,
can he
do you
get
think
up
it's
there?
Possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
It's not-
Is that likely?
He's going to be top 10.
You think he's going to be a top 10 quarterback?
Yeah, low end top 10.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
Who you
he'll
got
be
above him?
between 10 and 15.
You would also be banking on a lot of garbage points, I'd imagine,
Yep.
just with the way the Bengals are going to look like this year. So you're
The
hoping
Bengals
on
are going to
catch-
finish fourth in the AFC North.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it.
I mean, the Falcons always finish near the bottom of the NFC South, and yet Matt Ryan and Julio Jones put up a ton of points every year.
I mean, who are the 10? Like, I think he'll be top 15.
yeah, I'm
like-
saying between 10 and 15.
Okay, who's
Well, that's a QB2.
who's between 7 and 13 that you would put above him?
Between 7 and 13.
Yeah, because that would be his competition. Matt
So it's-
Ryan, Josh Allen, Tom Brady, Carson Wentz, Drew Brees, Daniel Jones, Matt Stafford.
I think Daniel Jones is going to be a hidden gem this year.
No.
I've listened to Matt Berry talk about it too on ESPN, and
But with Joe Judge having Saquon Barkley, they might run the ball 75 times.
well,
a game.
all
Right.
of their starting people have never played a game together. And he was one of the top fantasy quarterbacks in the last 5 games last year.
He didn't play 3 of them.
In the final,
In the final 5 games,
His,
Eli
like-
Manning started the last 3.
his 5 games
Gotcha.
that Daniel Jones played, he was in the top,
Right.
and he put up 25 plus points
I don't
all those
like it.
times. I'm still taking him over Joe Burrow, possibly.
No.
So I'm taking Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan, Josh Allen.
Wait, can you start over?
I'm taking Ben Roethlisberger over him. You guys forget, 2 years ago, he was a top 3 fantasy quarterback.
What part of his leg is he going to destroy this year?
It was,
It was actually his elbow.
Oh, okay. Just every other year was a leg.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
If Big Ben stays healthy, I guarantee you he finishes.
So
around the
Daniel
top 10.
Jones last year,
Homer
his
Ben.
per game stats were 232 yards and 1.85%, a 1.85 touchdowns.
It's not terrible, but it's not great.
But he also still never had any of his starting people all together with him.
Yeah.
I have a genuine question for all of you, since you actually did bring him up, Tim. What does everyone think about Ben returning next year?
Homer Ben.
Next year?
For fantasy wise, he's only going to put up points at home. Away, he's going to get you.
That
10,
that was
15
broken 2
points.
years ago. That isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah, but
Well, there was some. Well, other things were broken 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Hey, but
I think
since
it
we're
depends on
since
how
we're
this season
talking about
goes.
everybody's team's quarterback, what about good old Jimmy G?
Jimmy G.
Porn star Jimmy. Porn star Jimmy.
Will he crack the top 20 of quarterbacks this year?
I think he'll crack the top 20 of quarterbacks this year, and I think
He's top half, yeah.
the way I see it is that team is always going to be a run-first defense team, right? You're very rarely going to see Jimmy sling it 40 times a game. Like that game last year against New Orleans, I don't know if we're going to see another game just like that this year. But I don't think it's going to be going. I don't think it's going to be to the point where he's only throwing 8 times a game. That was also more of a fluke. And if it is, then
Hey, you got Nick
probably
Mullen
got it.
sitting on the bench right there. Don't worry, he's got you, baby.
yeah, we got a big Richard on our bench too.
Yeah, on Roto Street, they've got Jimmy G dropped all the way down to number 23.
Oh,
Oh, jeez.
What do y'all think of wide receivers?
Let's pull up the wide receiver top 10 and we'll run through it real quick. So for the top 5, we got Mike T, Devontae Adams, Julio, Hop, and Tyreek Hill. And then for the next 5, we've got Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Kenny Galladay, Allen Robinson, and Adam Thielen, which I feel like those top 5 are like must have like one of them on your team to really excel.
Who do you pick, Chris Godwin or Mike Evans?
Godwin.
Godwin?
I'd
Godwin.
pick Mike Evans if I'm playing PPR.
I
Because Godwin might get you more yards and touch. I don't know if he'd get you more touchdowns than Mike Evans, but Evans is going to get you more catches.
It seemed a lot last year like Chris Godwin was the go-to, but
He
this
was.
is also a
Completely
much
different team.
different quarterback. So we have no idea.
Yeah, but
Whatever
he also
you do,
has a ton of
Gronk.
weapons.
Hey, you never know.
O.J. Howard's
With 30
making
touchdowns
flashes.
and 30 interceptions again this year.
We'll see.
Mike Evans is just an animal. Every time the Saints play him, he just thorn in the side. I mean, that's just one of the things about wide receivers. Like, RotoWire like has AJ Green all the way down at number 35.
They've got him at 33 on ESPN.
Yeah,
Well, he can't
He
stay
also-
healthy.
He also hasn't been healthy in like 4 years.
Yeah.
right?
I know, but he could have came back last year. He just didn't.
Yeah. Only reason he's back this year is because Joe Burrow wanted him.
Yeah.
I have
I-
a question since we're on the topic of wide receivers.
Okay.
What do you guys think about OBJ this year?
Yeah, I was going to
just
bring him up
Don't
later.
trust anybody on the Browns really besides Nick Chubb.
I think he'll have a bigger year than last year.
I think their entire offense is going to have a bigger year.
I would hope so.
Yeah, maybe
That
since
offense
Freddie
was trash last
Wasn't
year.
a lot of wasn't a lot of room to go down.
Yeah, Freddie Kitchens did not know how to run the offense. They all bought into the Super Bowl hype. I think Baker has a better year. I think OBJ has a bigger year. They've got 2 stud running backs that are both going to be heavily involved in the offense. And Jarvis is going to go out there and do what Jarvis does because he's always underviewed and he'll get you your numbers that you need.
See,
I just don't know how long Baker's going to stick around.
Baker's problem, though, the last 2 years, is that the way that they were running the offense, the start of his rookie year and last year, they tried to focus on letting Baker play too much rather than running the ball. The only long, deep dropbacks that he has should be play action. That's where he's been succeeding, that and quick passes. He's struggling when it comes to the medium passes and the straight 7-step drop. No
Baker
play
just
action,
doesn't
no
have
nothing.
that tight, strong spiral to
No,
throw.
he does not.
Baker
Like-
had his sophomore slump last year. I think he has a
He also-
huge bounce back.
He started
also
like
does-
that.
He didn't have the O line to give him those long drop
No,
passes either.
and they've
Yeah.
And
they've
now he
definitely
definitely does.
improved their O line.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
Baker
I-
just
translates
doesn't
this
have the strongest arm for the hash-to-hash throws that you have to make in the NFL.
Right.
Or the hashes are pretty close in the NFL. The number-to-number throws in the NFL.
I think with his receiving core and his 2 running backs, and they just brought in Austin Hooper. I think that's a good safety net for him. I think that their offense all around is going to be a lot more dominant. Because last year, I mean, Nick Chubb threw the entire team under the bus. He said the team bought into the hype.
As they did.
And yeah, Baker Mayfield, he got on his high pedestal. He focused on commercials and all that. He lost like the thought of football, and he got blown up. I think that this year will be different.
So, Heck, do you think your 49ers make it back to the Super Bowl?
Barring injuries, I can see a deep playoff run.
Yeah.
I think to immediately say, "Oh, we're guaranteed back a back-to-back Super Bowl."
I mean, because
run.
y'all got rid of some of the like big players from that team.
We did. We did get rid of Joe Staley, but word from training camp is Williams is looking fantastic.
Yeah,
And
but then
I imagine
you
he's going to give Nick Bosa a lot of good reps to bring into the new season. So
you lost 2 wide receivers, right?
Debo is running once again, so we'll see how long it is before he comes back onto the field looking close to 100%.
But didn't
Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, Emmanuel Sanders left,
Yeah.
and then didn't y'all trade one to Philly as well?
We did let Emmanuel Sanders go, and I told you the other day. Now instead of being overthrown, he'll be underthrown.
Hey, except when good old Taysom's back there. With
There we go.
his cannon.
Famous,
When
famous
Taysom goes
Jameis.
back there and he does his little RPO and just throws a rocket missile.
ESPN has him listed as a tight end this year.
Oh.
Who,
For-
Taysom Hill?
Taysom Hill is listed
Whoa.
as a tight end on.
I knew there was
ESPN.
one.
Is it
Y'all
like
also,
quarterback / tight end or just tight end?
I don't know. When I saw
I'm
it,
sure he's listed
I
as
was
a
like
flex.
scrolling and he just popped up under tight ends. I'm like, what? Are you serious?
you also traded Marquise Goodwin.
We did, but that wasn't a big loss anyways.
So
It's interesting because the rookie that we took this year, Brandon Ayuk, there's been pretty good word about him outside of training camp. Obviously, I don't think he's going to hit the ground running on game one like Julio Jones and AJ Green did in their rookies years. But I think with Shanahan as the coach once again and the rest of the team being together with finally having consistent front office management, I think we have a pretty good chance of making a deep playoff run. And I'm interested in personally. Okay, here's the thing too. With it being Shanahan's second year with Jimmy G once again, I don't think he's going to hit that Matt Ryan 2016 MVP level, but I do think the offense does take another step forward. So we'll see.
So, does anybody have a defense that they're really eyeing this year?
Pittsburgh.
Washington.
What? Really?
Washington
Miami.
football team.
Washington's defensive line was amazing last year, and adding what's his name? Oh my God, Chase Young.
Chase Young.
Yes, adding Chase Young is just going to make that defensive line so much better.
Also having Ron Rivera as your head coach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ron Rivera as a head coach. Hopefully he gets better soon and he can get back out on the field as soon as possible. But having Ron Rivera there, that defensive line, I think they're going to be stout this year. That's going to be a tough defense to get through. Defense has not been their problem over the last 2 or 3 years. It's all been lack of production on offense.
Right.
So I could see them being a huge defense in fantasy.
I honestly haven't
Pick
researched
another-
like any defense.
I just know Pittsburgh's. They ended up finishing, I think, number 2 last year, and we've only been improving. And one of our, some of the reporters and everything have come out and said how this is the fastest and probably most dominant. I wouldn't say dominant yet because I haven't seen them out there, but fastest and most efficient like defenses Pittsburgh's ever had. Pittsburgh is very well known for their defense. So for a bunch of these people coming out and saying this defense looks that good,
Devin Bush and Minka Fitzpatrick. That is a good duo back there. Devin Bush has so much speed, and then Minka Fitzpatrick is so smart. He can outsmart almost any quarterback at this point.
I think our entire defenses will be doing pretty good.
So the top 5 they got listed on here is the 49ers at number 1, Pittsburgh at number 2, Baltimore at number 3, Buffalo at number 4, and New England at number 5.
See, I think New England drops because they had what,
Devontae Hightower.
4 opt-outs,
Yeah, something like that.
and I think majority of them were defense. Do you
I
think?
just don't see them replicating that performance from last year.
Yeah,
I
definitely
agree.
not.
There's just
No
way.
shot. Do you think Baltimore drops at all with Earl Thomas?
No, because like it's like they talked about on McAfee show the other day. He never really fit in that defense anyway. Like Earl Thomas is a crazy good safety, but like he's just they don't run the type of defense that he's used to playing. He's a more center fielder than anything.
Right. I think the Colts
if I-
D goes up this year. Colts D 2 years ago was incredible. I think they had a little bit of a down year last year. I think they definitely improve.
They got the Saints at number 6, and like I think like we have I can't remember his name. We got the guy from Janoris Jenkins on the corner now instead of as our CB2 outside Lattimore, and then we also got Malcolm Jenkins as our other safety now with Williams, the Minnesota Miracle a couple years ago. But since then he's been like a Pro Bowl caliber player.
I think Seattle's defense steps up as well.
I don't know. They looked
Yes.
really rough last year for a
They
little
were,
while.
but it all came from
Jamal Adams.
Yeah, it all came from passing, and I think
I know,
Jamal
but they
Adams
also
helps.
lost Jadeveon Clowney.
That's true.
I don't
he's
think
still a
that's that
free
big
agent.
of
They
a-
might get him.
I don't think that's that big of a hit for them to
Yeah,
lose.
they're-
I don't know.
Jadeveon.
They didn't really have a pass rush outside of Clowney.
Their biggest issue last year, though, was through the air, and I think Jamal
I
Adams.
know, and one of the
stepping in-
things that makes you better at air defense is being able to rush the quarterback.
Fair.
We'll see.
I think they'll be better than last year.
I do too.
All right, top kicker from each person. Ready, go.
Oh shoot, Justin Tucker. Duh.
Will Lutz.
Yeah.
Justin
Big-
Tucker doesn't miss kicks.
big
Andrew, kicker.
Nuts. Lutz.
That one.
That's what I go with.
Pat McAfee.
What about you, Heck?
Harrison Butker. I think I'd take the Chiefs kicker.
You always were a butt kisser.
What can I say?
Top tight ends.
Oh, I forgot about those. That's a position.
Just go
Yep.
with like the top
You got-
5 tight ends.
Travis
The
Kelce,
People's
George
tight
Kittle, Zach Ertz, Mark Andrews, and Darren Waller. Who do you like out of that?
I really like Darren Waller.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say I'm pulling just about.
The only problem
I know
is
those.
he plays for Oakland.
When you say who do we like out of that, do you mean like at their respective ADPs or just in
Hey,
general?
I just
Boy, we
need
know
you,
that you got
Hector.
George
Well, of course,
Kittle.
everyone
Hector,
loves
we're gonna
Kittle
mute,
and Kelsey.
we're gonna mute you while we talk about George Kittle. Okay.
Right. So from Zach Ertz, you got Zach Ertz, Mark Andrews, Darren Waller, Evan Ingram, Gronk, Tyler Higbee, Jared Cook. Who's your best out of that? And we'll throw Hooper into that too.
Jared Cook.
Mark Andrews was.
Jared Cook.
Mark Andrews was the.
He was big.
He was the number 2 tight end last year.
Especially
He
with
was
the
I
huge
thought that
for
was
Lamar Jackson.
I thought that was. Oh my God.
It went
Hooper. Austin Hooper.
It went Kelsey. It went Kelsey, Andrew. Here, I've got the list right here. Last year's top 5 tight ends. It went Travis Kelsey, Mark Andrews, George Kittle, Darren Waller, Zach Ertz. So
I didn't realize Zach Ertz was that high up. It
So
seemed like I
out
had
of-
him in 2 leagues and he was
out
doing
of the
not great.
2, like taking Kelsey and Kittle out, obviously those are your top 2.
Right.
I'm taking Mark Andrews.
I think Jared Cook this year, with the safeties having to help with Emmanuel Sanders and Mike Thomas over the top, is going to open up the middle of the field a lot.
Yeah, I think Jared
So
Cook's going to have a big
him
year.
going up the middle is going to be, especially with Drew, probably going to want to hit that middle pass more than wanting to throw it over the top. Even though he's been working on the deep ball.
I think Hayden Hurst is going to have a big year. Traded
I was
from
going to say that's kind of a sleeper.
Yeah.
traded from Baltimore to Atlanta. We know Atlanta loves the tight end. We know Matt Ryan loves that tight end, especially when Calvin Ridley.
Such an athletic guy too, wasn't he? Like a top rated baseball player too.
I think so.
Yeah, I think he played baseball and tight end at South Carolina.
Yeah, he was a first round pick 2 years ago. I think he's going to do great.
I'd agree with that.
Honestly, same with Todd Gurley. But from everything
I was
I've been
gonna-
hearing out of Todd Gurley at training camp, it's been good. They're just limiting his reps so he doesn't get hurt.
I was going to bring that
Did
up.
they-
I've got
Didn't they say he had a walking boot last week?
So
don't know.
Gurley and Le'Veon, I just don't
that's what I
think
heard.
they'll ever be Gurley and Le'Veon.
I was going to ask, do you think
Le'Veon
David Johnson and Todd Gurley bounce back?
I think David Johnson might. I don't think Gurley will.
David Johnson
David
says he's
Johnson
going to be
will not.
1,000 this year.
He's out of his mind.
1,000 receiver, 1,000 rusher.
I don't know. Like I'm more like willing to believe David Johnson because most of his injuries through his career have been his wrists, whereas Gurley literally has like paper mache knees.
Yeah.
Like his knees have been giving him problems since he was in college.
I don't think Gurley bounces back. I think he's just going to be there for Atlanta.
I looked it up. Gurley actually 2 weeks ago was walking with a very noticeable limp and wearing a compression sock already on his leg.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Bad signs.
I don't know. From everything I've been seeing, it sounds like he's doing well when he's on the field.
What I thought was really funny, though, speaking of Daniel Jones from earlier, the coach of the Giants said that he's going to take away his red jersey because he thinks he needs to get hit in practice.
Those fumbles, man.
He's gonna get hurt.
So then, I guess since we're on this, we'll go over last year's bust. We kind of already went over Baker and Odell. I think those two both bounce back this year. Ben?
I don't think Baker does. I think Odell does a little bit more though.
Tyler?
What'd you say?
Baker, Odell. Do either of them bounce back?
I mean, I don't know if you can say Odell's a bounce back since he had 1,000 yards last year.
But back to the fantasy numbers that he was having in.
No. I don't think Odell has great hands, but he's not an elite wide receiver when it comes to route running or speed.
He
So,
can out jump you.
he can-
Hector?
Yeah.
and I just
I
think
think
Baker doesn't have the arm to be a. You didn't let me finish my thought. I don't think Baker has the arm to be a consistently elite NFL quarterback.
Agreed.
Ba-
Hector?
Hector.
So I think I can see Odell bouncing back. I don't think he's ever going to have the level of elite numbers that he had back in the New York Giants, but I can see him putting up respectable numbers. With Baker, I just don't think Cleveland is going to be able to have the offense that'll give him the high elite quarterback numbers that people might imagine. I think he can bounce back and have a respectable year. I just don't see him having those high numbers anymore.
See, for me, I think Baker has the weapons that he doesn't have to throw a deep ball. He's got Nick Chubb. He's got Kareem Hunt. He's got Odell Beckham Jr. He's got Jarvis Landry.
I'm not concerned about him throwing the deep ball. I don't think he can throw an out route. Like, I don't think he can throw to the sideline.
Right, without a corner getting up to it.
Yeah. Like, I don't think he has he doesn't have, because I'm almost more comfortable with him getting air under the ball and throwing a deep ball than him having to put one on a line in a tight spiral and get it through coverage.
Right.
That's fair. Personally, I have Baker as a sleeper this year. I think that he can have a bounce back because of what he has to work with. So I think Baker and Odell both have, I'm not going to say huge years. They're definitely going to improve. They're not going to look like they did last year. So we hit Todd Gurley. Do you guys think Todd Gurley does anything?
Yes.
Okay, so Ben does. Tyler says no. I say no. Hector?
I'm still kind of on the fence, but I think I would personally lean no. Just it's not as a diss at his abilities. It's more so of just those knees. Those
Yeah,
knees
the
have
only
just been
thing that's
such a
worse
problem
than Todd
across the
Gurley's
years.
knees are the Los Angeles Rams, New Jerseys.
I mean, the Falcons jerseys aren't much
Quarterback's up
better.
there, too.
David Johnson? You guys think?
I think
No.
David Johnson will bounce back
No, I don't think so.
playing with Deshaun.
Hector?
I don't think I would touch him right now. That's just me personally.
Do you
Yeah,
think
he's
he
old,
can
man.
become the 1,000 he says he will?
No, I don't. I think that is long gone. I don't think that's going to be a thing anymore. Not for David Johnson.
I think the only reason he might have an opportunity with that is Deshaun lost. He lost Hopkins, and I think is his number one receiver now Kenny Stills.
Well, they
Like,
did sign
'Cause
Brandon Cooks.
David Johnson's still only 28 years old.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I think
He
David.
seems so much older than that.
I think he's got an opportunity to have a big year. I don't think he'll be 1,000, and
I think he'll be damn close.
I've always been a guy that's targeted Deshaun Watson in my drafts because he's versatile. He can do both. He can run. He can throw. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna avoid him if he's there.
He still
I'll
has
go
Kenny
for him.
Stills and Will Fuller.
Yep.
But they're also
And Brandon
all
Cooks.
extremely-
Will Fuller might be
But
a
Yeah,
they're
and
all,
Brandon
they all
Cooks.
have a lot of injury concerns because
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks has always got a concussion.
And Randall Cobb.
So
Okay,
I love
they're
Deshaun, but
Hey, and according
I
to
think he's gonna
this,
be
he's
tough.
got a guy named Chad Hansen, and I don't know. He's the skinny little white boy. Maybe he'll get all the catches. Maybe.
so
His first name
So
is
where do you
actually
personally see
Timothy.
David Johnson's
I think Chad Hansen might be the biggest sleeper
Where-
in the NFL.
who, Hector?
was gonna
David
ask you-
Johnson's ceiling.
What do you think?
It's gonna be the guy.
I think he's gonna get plenty of touches rushing. I think he can hit 1,000-yard rushing. Receiving, I don't know. I think it's higher than most, but I wouldn't say he's gonna hit that 1,000-yard mark.
I think he has probably 600 rushing, 750, 800 receiving. I could see
So you
him
think
being
he's
a
a
bigger
beast?
factor out of the back, catching balls out of the backfield than rushing.
But only 600 rushing. That's kind of low for David Johnson.
I agree.
Yeah, because don't they still have Duke Johnson? They still have a bunch of running backs
so.
there.
I think so.
So,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they
Yeah,
split
but
carries.
it's not going to be that big of a committee backfield. David Johnson, 100% is their
If you
running
trade
back.
away D Hop, you're putting him as your RB1.
Yeah, and you're taking on his contract that he has, 100% RB1, not even close.
I also wouldn't be surprised.
I would
if
be
a situation like we saw Zeke from a few years ago before they had Amari, where David Johnson was like Zeke the only major weapon,
Yeah.
and the teams just all stacked the box against them.
Okay, Saquon and Kamara were both on the list. They were both hurt. I think they bounce back. They'll be fine as long as they stay healthy.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot more upside with Kamara than Saquon, in my opinion. If you're playing PPR, like in fantasy
Yeah.
terms, like not overall.
Well,
like,
you say that, and yet Saquon's rookie year was by far the best out of anyone, and we thought that he was going to be the best thing since sliced bread last year. But Christian McCaffrey is just an
Saquon was
animal.
also hurt.
Exactly, and Christian McCaffrey was just an animal.
yeah, and also last year, Kamara played the majority of the year with a torn MCL
I think Kamara is going to bounce back for sure.
and averaged 15 fantasy points a game.
Right.
Last bust, Juju Smith-Schuster. You think he bounces back?
If Ben stays healthy, yes.
I don't think
so.
he cracks top 10 wide receivers.
If Ben stays healthy, I think he does.
He was the third most targeted receiver when Antonio Brown was there and Ben was healthy?
When AB was there,
AB was the most targeted receiver in the league.
by 2 receptions. Juju had 166 targets. AB had 168 in that 2018 year. Juju
Wasn't
also
the year where
Juju caught
Antonio
more.
Brown didn't play week 17.
Huh?
Antonio Brown didn't play week 17 though, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he did not.
he said he wasn't playing.
Yeah, he didn't want to play with
He had a
Ben.
bitch fit.
Yeah, that's when everything started. But
Yeah.
coming back to last year, and Juju did sit out 3 or 4 games with an injury, I believe. But he was targeted 69 times.
Nice.
He was third.
Very nice.
He was third on the team in targets. He played with 4 quarterbacks throughout the year. I think Juju bounces back as long as Ben stays healthy because our backups are awful.
Yeah.
He'll be a wide receiver 1. I don't.
He wasn't
think
last year.
He was not last
I
year.
think-
correct.
Last
'Cause he
year
had
was
4
like-
quarterbacks.
Yep.
Yeah, and like I don't know if Juju has the raw talent to just make up for not having anybody else. Like there's some like Hopkins for the
Yeah.
longest time.
You
He was
have-
the only wide. Mike Thomas was the only wide receiver on the Saints that
You
the
have
rest of
those-
them were unsigned free agents, and like they just were so talented they could make up for it. So somebody else is gonna have to pick up the slack on Pittsburgh in order for Juju to shine. Like he's talented enough that as long as he's not getting double covered and has safety coverage over the top, he's gonna burn people.
Yeah. I know Johnson. I can't think of his last name or his first name at the moment, but Johnson last year, he was a rookie. He was our most targeted person, on fire.
Deontay Johnson.
Yes,
Deontay.
that's what I thought. Wasn't positive. Didn't want to be wrong. Had a huge year. He was our most targeted. I think him and Juju together will be great. And from what I'm hearing coming out of training camp is Claypool is doing phenomenal right now.
Do we think?
Also, if
in-
I'm
do we
Hector?
think
Sorry.
any
Hector?
of the who's going first?
Hector.
Hector, not
No,
you.
Tyler can go. I cut him off a couple times. Go ahead. Let Tyler go.
He's cutting you off.
Who do we think's gonna be, or do we think anybody out of that Eagles wide receiver core is gonna be worth it?
No.
No, even though they got Deshaun, Jalen Rieger, and Marquise Goodwin.
If I'm taking anybody from that offense, it's going to be Zach Ertz or Jalen Hurts by the end of the year.
I think Jalen Rieger might be worth it.
Yeah, Rieger might.
I'd give him
I
a
think
couple games, but like I would not touch D-Jax.
I would put him on my bench and then
Yeah.
see how he does, and then if he does well, then I'd throw him in a flex spot. But that would be it.
Do you guys draft Antonio Brown? Knowing that he's sitting out minimum 8 games, he's still under investigation for other things.
No.
But
Did he
knowing
sign
what
with the
he
team?
can do,
No,
he's
Did
he's not with the team right now. But if that suspension comes,
no.
I got what you're saying.
I might after 4 weeks.
After 4 weeks, and you see he signs with the team,
No.
Yeah,
Hector.
he would have to be signed.
I think for me personally,
No.
I wouldn't. But you also just know going into the draft, someone's going to take him.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
in the
I mean,
14th,
even if
15th
it's
I,
round,
mean,
not
I
in
still
there.
draft Brett Favre. You never know if he's gonna come back.
I'm not touching Antonio Brown. Even he could sign with a team today, and it's only an 8-game suspension. What?
If Josh Gordon or what's his other name? Gosh, what's the guy who used to play for Pittsburgh?
Martavius Bryant?
Martavius Bryant. If either of them come back, do you draft him?
I'm taking them.
Martavius Bryant? Yes.
I'm taking them before
That is
Antonio
a
Brown.
freak of nature.
I mean, yeah, because they had drug problems.
Antonio Brown
has
is a
mental
head
illness.
case. Yeah.
Yeah, Antonio Brown literally, a lot of issues there that aren't just drug related, which shouldn't be an issue to begin with. But
Get help, Antonio.
Yeah,
please.
don't forget, though, he has that-
weed now.
exactly, so that's why they're filing for that appeal.
So
Hey, but
look
it's-
out
he's
for
got
Josh Gordon on the Denver Broncos.
If he goes to
Or the
Denver,
Seahawks,
He'll be a mile high year round.
if he goes to Denver, I'm not touching him. If he goes to Seattle, I'll take him.
Why? Just because he's gonna smoke a little grass before the game?
No. He's not.
he can. He
They're
can
not
go
gonna-
to any of the
weed.
California teams
They're not
too.
gonna. No, I mean I don't care about the weed part. I mean, he needs a quarterback to throw to him.
Yeah,
Drew Lock has a cannon.
he does. He's just refused the second half of last year to throw downfield because he got scared because of a couple coverages. Now that he's had a full offseason to work on that and realize, hey, I could actually do this. I've seen film on myself doing this.
And has
I'm going to throw
Melvin
the ball
Gordon-
down.
Prove it.
And has Melvin Gordon to like help bring the coverage up.
I mean, I don't know. Russell Wilson though, he can sling it too.
Oh,
Exactly. If he
definitely
goes to
can.
Seattle, I'm
Drew
pulling him.
Lock's is better than
I
Daniel
think-
Jones.
I think anywhere.
You agree?
What, Drew Lock better than Andrew
Daniel
Jones? Why did I think Andrew Jones? I think he has a higher upside.
I think by the end of the year, Drew Lock blows Daniel Jones out of the damn water.
Me too.
I don't.
I think
I
he's
don't
going to
think-
progress a lot more.
We'll find out.
Daniel Jones is going to be the only thing he might come in contact with this year. He might reach the 30-30 record. That
Oh, I
Jameis
thought
did.
you were about to say the only thing he's going to come in contact with is Corona. I was about to
Yikes.
say.
That's a bad juju.
Yeah, that is for sure.
You said Juju? We already talked about him.
All right. So I know we're running long. Let's do a quick rundown of your top 5 people that you're going to target at each position.
At
QB.
each position?
It'll be. I said quick. All right.
do you
We
want-
can do top 3. Top 3 and a sleeper.
Okay.
From each position?
God,
Not
damn.
each. Like QB, running
Why
back,
don't-
wide receiver,
hey,
tight end. The
we
ones that
might have
matter.
gone over the top board.
And
Let's
the
just do
kicker.
a sleeper from each position.
Yeah.
Okay. QB.
Drew Lock.
Drew Lock.
See, I got Baker. Hector.
I could say Ben. I'd say Ben.
Ben.
Deep sleeper. That's like deep sleeper.
Big Ben.
Yes.
Yes.
That Big Ben Roethlisberger.
The
Oh,
big
now
boy.
you got him started.
I appreciate you, Hector. I agree. He can be. Running back. Tyler.
Sleeper, I'd probably go with Jordan Howard.
Jonathan Taylor.
For me, if he counts as a sleeper, Joe Mixon.
He's in the top 10.
Yeah. That's not a sleeper.
I mean, the
Third
first
round or later.
The first.
He's in the top 10 on the big board, not even by the position.
Oh, he wasn't on some of the stuff. I was like, all right,
He's
Hector, go with yours, and I'll tell you.
I think you can still find some value with Philip Lindsay, possibly.
Really?
I could possibly
that's
see that.
really-
I mean,
I'm surprised you didn't go J.K. Dobbins.
the entire career hasn't the number 2 running back at Chargers always outperformed Melvin Gordon? Maybe the trend will continue.
If Melvin goes down in week 3, hey, Phillips right there. We already saw just a few years ago. He had that 1,000-yard season.
Yeah, and then he didn't have a great year last year, though.
Well,
All right, well, I'm
Yeah,
going
we're
Chris
gonna go with
Carson.
Chris
Is that really a sleeper?
Carson.
He was the number 12. I believe he was number 12 running
He's
back
number
last
15
year.
on ESPN's big board.
is that really a sleeper though?
That's not a sleeper.
Where?
Or not the big board,
There'll be
but
I was
gonna
the
say-
running backs.
See, that's not how it
That's
says it on mine.
That's an RB2.
Okay, whatever.
That's not a
Le'Veon
sleeper.
Bell. You gonna tell me he's there too? Go ahead. Because out of all the list, like we're all looking
He's
at different
16.
websites. If you can't tell,
So we can go to wide receivers.
Wide receiver.
And I'm going to continue with my Denver train and go with Jerry Jeudy.
Ooh, that's a good
With
one.
rookie pick.
Yeah. I mean, Jerry Jeudy with Cortland Sutton on the other side and Melvin Gordon in the backfield and Drew Lock who can throw the ball a mile.
And Josh Gordon popping up.
Yeah, Josh Gordon, mile high all year long.
Ben,
Hold on, I'm trying to find where he's at.
Hector.
Oh well. I'd probably go with. I can see Brandon Cooks putting up some numbers, barring he stays healthy, which never happens.
All right, 54 for wide receivers, Henry Ruggs, or either that, or I'm going Will Fuller at 35.
Yeah, I would also say Preston Williams for Miami. He was destroying it last year before he tore his ACL.
Tight ends.
I don't have one right now. Give me a second.
Ben.
Jordan Reed.
Oh yeah,
Jordan Reed.
Jordan Reed is gonna be the
O.J. Howard.
greatest quarter or tight end
No, I
out
think he
there.
adds a lot of value to that offense.
I fully expect you to draft him in our league.
I fully
Whether he's
expect
on the
me not
bench,
to.
you talked about how great this guy's gonna be.
No, I
Draft
said that
him.
he was going to be valuable to that team.
You said he's gonna put some big numbers.
It will be interesting. I'm probably going to go with Greg Olson as my sleeper being moved over to Seattle and having Russell Wilson now.
I'm going Eric Ebron. Ben Roethlisberger's always been big with his tight ends. I think he'll get his red zone targets. The only issue I have with Ebron is he's very touchdown dependent. Hector, tight end?
I can see Noah Fant putting up some numbers with Denver.
Dude,
No offense, number 10. Not a sleeper.
This is tight ends we're talking about. I think that
There's
counts as
only
a
30
sleeper.
listed. But
Yeah. Fant's so fast, and he also has Drew Lock, Jerry Jeudy, and Cortland Sutton, and Melvin Gordon, and Josh Gordon mile high. We've completed the entire offensive lineup for the Denver Broncos.
Do you guys have a defense sleeper?
No.
I do.
Who you got?
Ooh,
I think Tampa Bay is going to do really good this year with that defense.
yes.
Besides when the Saints skull drag him.
I think the Browns. The Browns have their entire team is so good on paper. They just have to put it on the field.
Seahawks.
I feel like
That's
the Browns have
17.
been saying that for like
Do
15
the
years.
do the Seahawks count? Do they count?
They're 17, yes.
Yeah,
They're at the
Seahawks
bottom
weren't
of this
very good
list.
last year.
No, their defense was terrible last
Yeah.
year.
I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders. They're sleeping all right.
With I was gonna say with Khalil Mack. Wait.
That's so long ago. That doesn't even count.
Yikes.
Back to the Future. Didn't Khalil Mack get traded 4 years ago?
3 years ago, I think.
3.
Are they still
3
collecting
years
picks
already?
from
Yeah.
that?
I think so, actually.
Oh, that's a big one.
The most disappointing thing was the fact that I was literally supposed to be in Las Vegas for the Las Vegas Saints game. I was supposed to go to Tampa for the Tampa Saints game. I was supposed to go to New Orleans with Hector for the 49ers Saints game. And I was supposed to go to Philadelphia for the Philadelphia Saints game. And we're not going to get to go to any of the freaking games.
Sucks to be you. I was gonna go to Jacksonville to see Pittsburgh.
That stadium sucks so bad.
Yeah, but it's the only place I think I could have gone this year.
I just want to go to the Benz.
See,
Unfortunately, I don't think any of us are
might
doing
buy the
anything of
Superdome.
that.
That would be awesome.
He wants to buy the Bill Stadium, but then he was like, New Orleans Stadium's also selling their name, and he was like, that might fit Barstool a little more.
The Barstool Sports Superdome.
Yeah, so it was something like that.
Or the Dave Portnoy Superdome.
Call her Daddy Superdome.
Alex Cooper leading the cheerleaders.
This podcast is not supported or affiliated with Barstool Sports Incorporated.
Not at all.
But unless Dave
If
wants
you're
us to be.
listening.
Dave Portnoy, if you somehow end up listening to this episode, we will record for $100 a piece per episode.
We're putting an episode out daily.
I'll put ink to paper right now, Dave. We're gonna have Big Bites burger reviews. We got you, dude.
Nice.
10-minute
Alright.
movie reviews.
10-minute. We've got ideas galore, Dave. I know it's 17 years since you started Barstool. If you want to add a few
God, you're old as
more
shit,
slap
Dave.
dicks, just let us know.
All right. Anyone have anything else?
I can't even read.
That does it for me. What about you, Andrew? You got anything you want to add to the pod, bro?
That's good enough. Good talk, Andrew.
Tim, you got anything?
I think I'm good. I'm excited
Good.
for this year's fantasy.
Ben, do you got anything?
Nobody cares. All right, take the mic away.
Wait,
Hello.
Hector!
Wait, Hector. Do you
Hector.
have anything, sir?
Yeah, I can't wait to school you.
I don't want to hear it.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Trash talk starts. Bring it on, boy. Draft next week.
Well, we appreciate you guys listening today. Tune in next week when we get back to sports. We'll see how the protests go. I know the NBA decided they're going to resume. Baseball took most of the games did not play today.
Well, hockey canceled too.
Yeah, hockey, pretty much all sports league, including MLS. Like
I had a feeling no game was going to be played today.
baseball played, some of them did.
Yeah. I know a lot of them canceled.
Yeah,
Stop
a lot
that.
of them canceled or.
You guys heard that? I slapped Ben because he's being a child and playing with things.
Speaking of children, go and make sure that they're being okay.
The playoffs, eh?
What did you just say?
My parents apparently they used to come on after the 10 o'clock news, or the 10 o'clock news would come on at night, and they say, "Hello, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?"
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. And on
Welcome
that
to
note, ladies and
Mississippi.
gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Hope you had a good time. Hope you're excited for fantasy. Let's get
And-
off.
Tim gonna get his ass kicked.
Daniel Jones sucks.
Yes.
Thanks for having me on, boys.
Thanks for being here, Hector. Ben, you suck. Nobody likes you.
You're just mad because you got railed for like 10 minutes.
Like I did every other episode leading up to this point.